Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I think we're going to give folks about one more minute before we get started.
So I think going back in time, I like this phone. It says it's 1999. Good year. Yeah. Always 1999 funding. I'm going to try to be politically correct with this, okay? Whatever you say, Doc.
All right, everyone. Again, good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar, Superstar Active Routes to School Community Partners. Thank you all for joining us. We're really excited about the fantastic lineup we have of speakers today. But before we get started, I have a few housekeeping items to just go over real quick. The phone number and access code for today's webinar is shown on the screen. If you're having any technical issues, please feel free to shoot me an email. My email address, oliver@hsrc.unc.edu, and I'll have my email open in another window and will respond as quickly as I can. With the exception of our presenters, all attendee phone lines are muted, but we still want to hear from you all. So please submit questions via the question function located in GoToWebinar window in the upper right-hand side of your screen. Nancy and I will be monitoring questions received throughout the presentation, and at the end of the session, about the last 15 minutes, we'll go through as many questions as we can.
Hey, Colleen, I'm sorry, Colleen, could I interrupt you for a second? I would just want to be sure that we can see your screen.
Can you not?
Well, what's your screen?
Nope. We see that wonderful opening slide.
How's that?
Right.
Ah, okay, here we go. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, well, with that, let's get started. In today's webinar, we'll be highlighting a few Superstar Active Routes to School community partners in North Carolina. As you know, the Active Routes to School project and its goal to promote walking and biking for students has been thriving across North Carolina. Partners are coming together to support students in learning safe walking and biking skills. And when students can't walk from home, communities are using group meeting locations or on-campus programs. Today we'll hear from community champions about their efforts to encourage walking and biking and why they think Active Routes to School is so important. Our speakers today are joining us from across North Carolina. First up will be the Mayor of Hayesville, Harry Bond. Then we'll hear from Dr. Michael Murray, the Superintendent of Jackson County Public Schools. And finally, Amanda Funai, the Parent Walking School Bus Champion at Ridgewood Elementary School in Wintersville, North Carolina. After the speaker presentations, we will open the floor for questions. So without further delay, on to our first presenter, Mr. Bond. I'm going to pull up your presentation here.
You go.
And hand it off to you. Just know when you need me to advance the slides.
Thank you very much, Colleen. And it's an honor to be here from the town of Hayesville in the second smallest county in the state of North Carolina. So you can go to the next slide. And they put a picture of me in there. I don't know why. It doesn't have anything to do with the subject. But anyhow, let's go to the next slide. So this is the beginning. I got involved in the fall of 2015 with Walk Wednesday, as it is called in Hayesville, because all of these cars, as you see in the picture here, are pulling up right in front of my office at Town Hall in Hayesville. The students getting out in their backpacks. And standing in the town square, we have a courthouse square with a gazebo. And so I joined them. And that's where I met Jackie Moore, the arts program coordinator for Region 1. She and Amy Shelton, which was a Hayesville Elementary PE teacher, and that's her in this picture holding the stop looking sign there. started the Walk Wednesday program with some other teachers and support from the elementary school principal, Tommy Hollingsworth. So that was where I got the program explained to me about the kids being active, and there was a need for this program. So let's go to the next slide. And technical difficulties, moving right along.
It's lagging here a bit. 1 second.
It's okay. There in the next slide, you can see one of the groups of elementary school kids that gathered in the gazebo with their Walk Wednesday banner, and I quickly got to be the keeper of the banner and store it in my office, the building which you can see behind the gazebo there, and put it out before the Wednesday walk. It is a lot of fun to walk with the group and spend some time with the kids and, you know, just kind of network with the community partners. It's just a great opportunity to get out and have an early morning walk and get your steps in. What you don't see in those pictures, that's great. For the kickoff event, not only is the principal on the left there, Mr. Hollingsworth there, and he's been out, I think, every Wednesday since, but also the cheerleaders and some of the football players came out for the cook-off to cheer everybody on and get them pumped up and excited. They get some community involvement hours for their senior credits. Next slide. This shows the route that we are doing from downtown Hayesville, right in front of Town Hall. The PE teacher, Amy Shelton, is leading the way with a team of school staff, and they walk through downtown Hayesville on the way to school. And now, as the excitement about this has grown, we're finding more and more parents are joining in as volunteers with the teachers and walking with us. So the crowd grows even more. And it's good for the parents. It's good for the kids. We had one of the kids, a second grader named Emily Livers. We got permission to quote her as a participant in it. She's been there since the very first one. And she said that she continues to do it because, quote, it's a lot of fun. It's a great way to exercise. And then she also added that she enjoys seeing her friends at each walk. It's a great social event for the kids as well as the exercise. Let's go to the next slide, please. The route passes some community involvement and historical things along the way. At the top left, you see we have a recreation of a Cherokee summer village because we have quite a connection with the Native American heritage there. And the upper right is our historical museum, which is actually the original jail from downtown Hayesville. Lower left is a brand new bicycle rack on the square, and the right is a signage about the beginning of the Quanasi Path, which is a 2-mile loop around downtown Hayesville that we encourage everybody to walk on also. But we pass all of this on our way to school. All right, next slide. As I said, we are a small town, but we're very fortunate to have that infrastructure that promotes a walk to school program. We average anywhere from 80 to 100 students every Wednesday. The Hayesville Middle School is located right next to the elementary school, and they joined the walkers last year in 2016. All right, next slide. I'm going to hurry you through this. What you see is a young lady holding her little foot token. Everybody that participates each Wednesday gets a little plastic foot. They have a choice of many different colors. And she just has her first one, but many of them have quite a chain now from having done it 2 or 3 years of feet, and they really look forward to that. I mean, in addition, there's a few other tokens that they've been giving out over the years, some little wristbands, some rubber balls, kinds of things that usually promote safety. And so they love the perks that come along with it too. We're now doing it both spring and fall because of the participation and enjoyment. Next slide, please. We had a environmental accessibility survey with a team that included from the left on that picture is a lady it's a parent of 2 disabled children. There's a past EC teacher for Clay County Schools and the current assistant principal, the PE teacher, Amy Shelton, the school SRO officer from the Sheriff's Department, the director of Clay County Communities Revitalization Association. That's a mouthful. There's myself, the Region 1 Arts Coordinator, Jackie, and our NCDOT Division 14 engineer. And we went around the whole square checking everything from crosswalks to angles of the sidewalk, et cetera, et cetera. So after this study, that's when I got to meet with Seth and Colleen, who's on the phone from the UNC Highway Safety Research Center, that came and gave us some safe routes training and helped put all the pieces together. So at the training, we looked at the findings of the environmental accessibility survey, and we learned that most of the identified barriers as far as accessibility for people with disabilities were not NCDOT roads, but fell on the shoulders of little downtown Hayesville. So we did what we could with what we had to work with. And so the first change, next slide, was we rerouted the children as they left the gazebo. On the left, you see we originally came down a sidewalk to a whole set of steps. Well, that obviously is a barrier to those with mobility problems. So on the right, we rerouted a different direction from the gazebo where we could come out at ground level, but that necessitated making a crosswalk across to the next sidewalk. So we did that. Next slide, please. And this involved needing 2 crosswalks that did not exist at the time of this survey, and doing a crosswalk also necessitated removing a parking space at each location. So we had to remove 2. One of the crosswalks is now a diagonal from one corner to the other. So let's go to the next slide. And I think you see the 2 crosswalks there that we made, the one on the right being the diagonal that the kids are using. So those were the major changes. And in the next slide was a very simple environmental change that on the left we noticed, and these things are just, sometimes I don't see the forest for the trees. The fact that sort of in the middle of that slide you can see a trash can, been there for years and years and years. Well, it was sitting on the sidewalk, which narrowed the sidewalk. Well, duh, once that was identified, it needed to be moved back off of the sidewalk, which is in the right-hand slide, although you see a temporary sandwich board I had up one day for the farmer's market coming up, but that's moved every day. So, but moving the trash can made the sidewalk a full 4 feet wide, so it was very accessible. Next slide, please. And then as we passed by one of our stores, which was an antique store, they had way too many antiques outside their store on the sidewalk, and again, narrowing the width of the sidewalk to where it didn't meet ADA standards. So we had a little friendly chat with the store owner, and that clutter that's behind the DOT engineer there has been removed, and so we have a full width sidewalk for the students to go by. So one more slide. This is just kind of a summary here that in addition to things, having this remote drop-off site, even though it's just one day a week, it certainly has cut down on some of the traffic congestion at the school, because being a small county, we have one elementary, middle, and high school, and all of them are on the same campus. So everybody's dropping off kids pretty close to the same place. So, and the Board of Education is on that same campus too. So we can reduce a little bit of the traffic flow. As I said, we're very fortunate that, the school is not 5 miles from town by any means, and that we have such a nice downtown square with the historical courthouse that we gather at. And so this has just been an extremely enjoyable program for everybody. The teachers love it as well as the kids. And okay, do we have one more slide then? There we go. As you can see, the teachers enjoy it too. They get into it. There's usually one that, in addition to the crosswalk, loves to get out in the middle of the street just to make sure she stops traffic, and she'll usually dance. And the kids love it. And the school resource officer comes along in his patrol car, and he'll sound off his siren every now and then. And the kids just, they love it. It's fantastic. When we get to the school, the kids go straight into the school cafeteria where they all get a free breakfast, and they are ready to go for the day. I think it really does help them to be more alert and ready for classes to start. So my thanks to Jackie Moore, and as well as our local phys ed teacher, Amy Shelton. It's just a tremendous thing, and everybody loves it. It's great. I hope that's good enough.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Colleen.
It's really incredible to hear about the little things you've been able to do that have made a big impact in Hayesville. And I know folks have some questions for you, but we're going to save those for the end. For now, we're going to move over to Dr. Murray, and I'm going to pull up that presentation, so just give me one moment.
Good.
All right, I'm going to pass things over to you, and just let me know when you'd like me to advance the slides.
How long are we supposed to have?
15 minutes, around 15. Made up a few.
Good luck with that.
All right, Dr. Murray, you're all right? You all set up there?
We're ready on this end.
Okay, all right, just let me know. Want me to move to the second slide?
I can't see the whole first one, but yeah, let's move to the second one. There we go. My name is Mike Murray, and I am superintendent of schools here in Jackson County. This is my 6th year, and I was kind of hoping that the picture would make me look skinnier and younger, but it didn't work. So let's move to the next slide. Jackie Moore is who I've been working with, and again, it's been a privilege this is my 35th year in education, so I've worked in 3 different school systems and all across the western region. So I'm a western region section 8 type superintendent, so I've had opportunity working with some great people. Jackie Moore has done a fantastic job with this as a coordinator, and she made an appointment with me and to prove to me that she was a hard worker, and what she has done is not only prove that, she is one of the people out there that will get the job done and keep working hard to make sure it keeps going. So I was able to direct her to our school principals, where I thought they'd be more receptive as superintendent. What you don't do is micromanage your principals, or you don't order people around. You empower people to do their jobs, and you make them understand why it's important. For years, we have been pushing for healthy school initiatives, and unfortunately, in the mountains, just like where you're from, we have had the situation where we do a lot of work with gathering BMI data, and we put it in a nice little file somewhere, and then nobody does anything with it. And then we identify that we have obesity problems and diabetes and all the other things. But, you know, saying you have a SHAC committee, a school health advisory committee, and legally this is what you have to do is not solve the problem of what we're facing every day. So gathering the data is not always the most important thing. The most important thing is actually getting people to work hard to adopt healthy initiatives that will change their lifestyle. So we'll go to the next slide. How I got personally involved was in 2016. I was invited to the first Bike to School program at our schools, and I had the opportunity to lead the pack. Now, I'm pretty good at leading after 35 years. I will tell you, kindergartner on a bicycle is not good at following, and unfortunately, I was rammed several times during that first episode. I bought a brand new bicycle for the occasion because I ride a Harley Davidson every day. So to trade my Harley in for a bike was a good role model thing to do. And it sounded really good until the next day where I was really sore and bruised up pretty good. This year it was much better, even though we had to put the pedals on the bike, which took time. That's the picture of me putting the pedals on the bike. This time, Jackie marked a little X on their hands if they could ride a bicycle, which was very effective. I did not get hit once during this year. And last year, I got so punch drunk over it that I ran into the Charles Wolf, who was our insurance guy. He was well insured. And so it was really exciting. There's an off-road trail that's connected to the rec park at school. The parents dropped off the students at the rec park. And the students got there early so we could ride laps around the ball fields, and I got to lead all those laps. That was really fun until the time that it was to bike to school, and then we all did it. It was a lot of fun. Kids loved it. I guess I need to explain something to you. There's quite a few people across, when I go to different national type places, that never heard of Jackson County, North Carolina. If you watch the film Deliverance, you were 25 miles away. If you watch the film The Fugitive, they have the train wreck in our district, so which isn't far from. So the word remote mean anything to you? So if you want to know the truth, I love it like that. I'm well fit for this community. I like to fish and hunt. I trout fish. The kids are very used to being outdoors. We're giving them a sense of place. So I'm excited that it is important to our community that we're actually doing healthy initiatives and that we're making those come to life with these type of activities. Go to the next slide, please. Many community partners came out together to support this event. We thought we might have 20 students that first year. It turned out to be 100 students. Local partners like Safe Kids and others provided helmets. They're thrilled with their helmets. They had a great day, and I can't tell you how exciting it is to watch a child light up that wants to show me how well they ride their bicycle. And we're set in one of the prettiest places in the world. Our sense of place is because we do live in paradise. And it is beautiful to get out on a bicycle early in the morning with 100 kids moving around if you survive the task. And I will be honest, I've had a much better time this year, Jackie. It was just so much smoother. Okay, we're going to go on to the next slide, which is community need. How did this help the community? Well, not only did it reduce the wait time in the car drop-off line, but it also provided educational opportunities for us for bike safety, including getting the helmet fitted. I have Cindy Simmons with me today, and Cindy is in charge of all my healthy initiatives and is very good about with crisis management plans and all the things we do together. She has really raised the bar in the last several years with our awareness. And Jackie working in this program, and those two ladies together, I'm trying to keep up. I'm doing my best. The events allowed our community organizations and agencies to collaborate, and that's the most important thing. With WCU in our backyard and SCC in our backyard, those relationships with our educational partners are critical, and I couldn't be more proud of a situation than we have. The picture you see is Paws. That's Western Carolina's mascot, and he is very much involved. And you're going to see when we talk about some other community events how much WCU has risen to the occasion, and with this very close to my school system and embedded in our school system. I have 3 degrees from WCU, so I bleed purple. I teach in their doctoral program, so we do have some collaboration going on with WCU, and we're really proud of that. Unfortunately, my daughter, who graduates next month as a principal sees fit, will be going to Appalachian State, which I've taken that as a personal insult. So just realize, those of you App State people, my wife won that battle, and she wants to be away from Daddy, so she'll be going there. Next slide, please. Community needs continued. Our county has a bike trailer that's available for use at the events to bike to school day. Our local partners worked to ensure all the bikes were in proper working order, and after the students received the helmet, they went to the next station and we fitted them with a bike. And next slide. Jackson County Safe Kids Arts worked together on grants in order to provide those helmets for the students, and they got to keep the helmet. They were very excited about how cool the helmet looked and that they were allowed to keep them. And at the end of it, they all wanted to know if they had to give them back. I said, no, I won't be taking your helmets up. They also had a lot of time covered in the newspaper with the features. Posters were put out in schools. Flyers were distributed. It's a very exciting time to promote the events, the weeks leading up to this event, and it was exciting to see all the volunteers and people helping. Next slide, please. The next issue, the next initiative we'll talk about is walking to school, and we had a Smoky Mountain Elementary walk at school. Jackson County has really progressed with the active routes to school program, and we now have walk to or at school programs in all 6 of our schools. We have 9 schools altogether, but in our feeder schools, we've come to the board recently this year, but we've also been going through this for the last 2 years. Pictured here is some Cherokee students at Smoky Mountain Elementary School in their gym before school begins walking. So we're real proud of the walking program. Let's move forward with that. We had an official walk to school Fairview School Day, and students arrived at Fairview School and everything was set up. A lot of organization went into that from all our folks. Last fall we had our second school Fairview Elementary participation in a walk to school program, and the students were dropped off below our school, and we used a wild watch trail, which is a trail that had to be revamped a little bit, so it allowed us to really push for STEM and go ahead and move to the next slide, and you'll see that Wild Watch is a nature trail. I was amazed how many college students showed up for that. It doesn't really show a lot of the college students here, but when we got there that morning, we had the entire girls Western Carolina University cheerleading team. We had 8 different area teams, including things like soccer, baseball, track, cross country, the football team, all of them walking with these kids through this trail. And it was just exciting to see the kids not only getting into that, but looking at their older brothers and sisters and the role models of these young athletes all getting out early in the morning to encourage them to walk. It was very unique, and I couldn't be more proud of all the collaboration that was going through. Next slide, please. Pictured here, you have the Jackie, which is our arts coordinator, and myself. We're working up a sweat as we make it up through the nature trail that leads up to the school. Jackie has been a pleasure to work with, and a hands-on leader. She's very active about getting involved. She's not afraid to sweat with the kids and immerse herself into the activities with the kids. I think our aggressive style works well together. Cindy Simmons the same way. We all roll up our sleeves and we do what's right for children, and it's just exciting to watch. And I think that enthusiasm from the top is critical when you're trying to encourage all of the troops out there to get involved, and you need a superintendent that's probably younger and skinnier than myself that would do better. But I did my best keeping up with everybody, and my energy level's still pretty good even at this age. 35 years into it, I still love what I'm doing. So let's go to the next slide. First Fairview Walk to School program had 429 participants. We had 279 students participating, over 150 community volunteers, and all of these folks produced a large-scale event, including the mayor, the central office staff, the school board members were there, principal, teachers, parents, PTA, town manager, commissioners, local police department, sheriff's department, highway patrol, university, and the colleges, NCDOT, just about anyone that you could think of, from the planning on down to the numerous organizations. They all made this event possible. So what's really nice about this whole activity is it pulls the community together to collaborate, to really look at encouraging kids to make choices that are healthy, to encourage kids to pick a healthy lifestyle. And yes, we're going beyond just putting a body mass index figure and especially a statistic, and putting children's faces and working together to make sure that we all are living healthier, including our staff. So I've been very excited about that. Everyone is connected and involved in this type of program. Going on the next slide. How I supported and promoted it. Well, first I connected with the coordinator and then the other principals, and I advocated for healthy lifestyles and healthy initiatives in multiple ways. I served in a lot of different committees and groups, telling folks that this is a priority for our school system. I personally have participated in several programs with the students. I support all the training with our PE teachers. They're critical as we all work together and focus on the Go North Carolina curriculum. After meeting with my assistant superintendent and the healthy living folks, the athletics and the safe schools director, we were all able to work together to include active routes to school, Let's Go NC, and the curriculum guidance section on the Jackson County Public School website. It's embedded there, and we're very proud of all that, because it's not just a line in the school improvement plan. It is actually a way of bringing to life some things that we're all committed to, and that's we love kids, and we want kids to have healthy lives. So we're so proud of all that goes on, and this allows all our K-5 students to receive comprehensive pedestrian and bike safety skills. That's always important in a rural area, and as well as education training through the use of Let's Go NC curriculum. It pulls everybody together. So again, very proud of the program. Region A superintendent's meeting, I set up a time for Jackie to come and actually present to all the superintendents. I think people tend to forget that superintendents are just normal people. You know, we do have busy lives, and a lot of times we're caught up into an office and don't seem like we're approachable. Every superintendent that I work with, not only they love children and they want to do what's right. So if you've not ever met with them, they meet in regions called RESA. RESA is a very active group, and Jackie came and presented and shared that, and it was just, it's nice sort of setting up friendly competition. I trash talk with all the other superintendents, and I like to make sure that they understand that Jackson County Public Schools will beat them every time when we start competing, and it's really exciting for me to dare them to get involved. And there's several of them that tried to rise to the occasion. They did fine, but we did probably have the biggest participation, and I know we had the most enthusiasm. So at the end of the day, we're very competitive in our school systems, but we all love kids. So go to the next slide, the results. What happened as a result? Well, programs in schools are growing. In some schools, 1 day a week, walking programs have grown to 5 days a week. Before this program, students would arrive at school and were sedentary for a large majority of their days. Now they're active before school. They have a wonderful opportunity to exert their energy before going into classrooms. They look forward to spending time with friends and socially during school. We have smart lunch and other things where people have clubs and things they get involved in. We've continued our Bike to School program at Cullowhee Valley and just completed our second event last week. We're looking at this program to move to become even more sustainable in all our schools. Ms. Moore has a rigorous schedule but managed to meet with all of our schools. She makes sure that she's approachable. She meets and implements these successful programs. Again, we're very pleased with what's been going on. Instead of just standing around and looking at data and complaining about things, we're putting action to it, and we're making it come alive for kids. And, you know, that picture there shows me we were trying to bust through that sign. Luckily, you didn't see it because I ran over the poor person on the left. There was no workman's comp playing, and I picked her off the ground. Everything's fine. But when you have that many kids pushing you over the side, I couldn't quite get straight enough to hit in the middle of that sign. Going on to the next page. We also, most of you are forced into doing some pretty intensive land planning use commitments through the state, and we were able to incorporate some of the things we're doing into our long-term plans for the whole county that will be guiding this county for several years. So from our walking and biking programs, I've been involved with the Jackson County Land Use 2040 plan, and we were able to really incorporate a lot, and Jackie's been at the table too. For months we've met and talked about how can we not only integrate this in, but make those lifestyle changes that will make a difference for kids for years to come. So I led the education subcommittees, and it was just a great fit for Arts together, and we were able to add the following goals and objectives to the plan, and those goals will be aligning closely with all the responsibilities from this program. So very pleased with those. I won't read those to you, but it's exciting. So next slide. So we go through, I'm not going to go through every goal, but just remember, we are trying to promote healthy lifestyles. That's the key if you're setting this stuff up. These are objectives we came up with to support the goal, but as you can see, we're making use of the partnership between Jackson County Public Schools and Arts, and we're going to achieve goals together. It also incorporates all your business partners, all of your community support, all the different interagencies. Can't tell you how many interagencies have committed into making sure we're doing what's right for children. It's exciting when you see all that come together. Next slide. Our second goal is to support this goal and provide sidewalks and bike lanes, connect schools. That one takes a little longer. We are very rural. We're sort of pursuing that shift, and we're moving forward progressively with that. So as we build bike lanes, if we increase opportunities for kids, we're always looking at how to do that safely. Next slide, please. Our last goal was to promote physical activity within the county, and that's where we invest in the infrastructure. We do have a really neat greenway that's been established now that is ongoing and growing, and it's so exciting to see people show up and participate and be part of that and bring their families. And so not just the children, they encourage. I don't know about you, but I grew up at a time when we didn't have seatbelts, but my grandchildren and my children remind me every day, Pap, just because you don't wear one on your motorcycle, when you're in a car, you will wear a seatbelt. So they have learned that they can put the pressure on about healthy lifestyles too. It is better to walk sometimes than it is to climb on the back. No, it's always better to get on the back of the Harley. But it is very nice to be able to walk and actually participate in the outdoors without blasting through it on something that's as sweet as a Harley. I will tell you, I did not only buy a bicycle for all of this. I've started riding with my grandkids. We are doing quite a bit together that we have never really done. I can still do my little bike activities on the motorcycle, but it is so rewarding to not only participate in the community, but as I'm out there, everybody thanking us for the job we're doing with this, because it is getting a lot of attention within our county, and it's exciting because we know it's the right thing to do for kids. Okay, to finish up, any advice they asked for me to share with you? Be persistent. You may have a school that has a principal that may not be as engaged as you'd like, or you may not support the program. Just hang in there. You know, if you get the superintendent involved or the leadership at central office and show that we are all committed, a lot of times principals will follow suit. You don't be afraid to talk to your superintendents. We love programs about our students. We certainly wanted to get involved, and I know it worked in this situation. So if you talk to the superintendent, make sure that they bring you to principal meetings, and then just share with why this is important for their children. If you ask people to participate, they usually get out in the schools and they get involved, and just keep doing what you're doing. That integration, I think, is something that people miss, and we are looking for ways to motivate and inspire our kids, and especially our teachers. And this integration with this can tie in so many different ways. Make sure your superintendents understand that it is relevant, that it is important. It's a way of modeling activities that will make lifetime changes for their students. So I'm encouraging all of you to get involved with your administration and making sure that you're persistent with them, and make sure that they understand how important it is to their community and to your kids. So thank you for asking.
All right. Excellent.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Murray. I know it's really helpful for our coordinators to be able to hear from the different perspectives of stakeholders, different kinds of stakeholders from across the state. All right, so Amanda is our last speaker here, and Amanda will be talking to us about the Walking School Bus program at Ridgewood Elementary School. So Amanda, I'm going to pass the screen over to you.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, we can. Perfect.
Okay, so my name is Amanda Sunai, and I am a parent volunteer for the Ridgewood Walking School Bus. So we're more of I'm down on the ground with the kids, so you'll see what we do. So we are in a neighborhood that's right next to the school, and so the children in our neighborhood walk or bike to and from school together every day with parent volunteers. So each family covers a number of shifts a week, and we walk every day. The morning shift is seasonal, so in the winter when it's too cold, we won't walk in the mornings, but we'll walk in the afternoon because it's warmed up enough by then to walk. The walking school bus promotes walking to school in a safe, fun, hopefully, environment. So why have a walking school bus? For the reasons we've been talking about for all these other different counties, what they've been doing. We want to increase daily physical activity for the children, and I think as an adult, it really is helpful for me too. We want to increase safety for pedestrians in the neighborhood. We really would like to try to reduce traffic in and around the neighborhood and school. We get a lot of traffic where our school is, and it causes a big delay on the main road by our school. And so anything we could do to reduce traffic, the principal is very happy about. It really helps in increasing community cohesion because the neighbors get to know each other, and so my kids, for example, will know someone who lives in like every other house in our neighborhood because they've gotten to know a lot of kids in doing this. They learn pedestrian and bicycle safety and healthy habits and get to know other kids, and like all the other programs, we want them arriving to school ready to learn. We're also trying to get them to gain a sense of independence. Like a lot of us probably walked to school when we were kids. That's what we're trying to get the kids to do. So how did it start? I didn't start it, but some other people in the neighborhood started it. Our elementary school opened in the neighborhood in 2008. And so as far as I know, several families got together in the neighborhood and started walking together. It was kind of a carpool except for walking. And they would just take shifts so they didn't have to walk every time. It gradually increased in size. When I inherited the program a couple years ago, we probably had 25 or 30 kids walking on any given day. Lately, the demographics in our neighborhood have changed. Most of the original members' kids are now in middle school, and it has been a little more difficult to sustain. So I'll talk more about that toward the end. So how does it work? So we try to have one adult to about 6 kids. It depends on how many kids are walking and also how many families we have. This usually is about 2 shifts per week, so maybe you'd walk 2 afternoons or 1 afternoon and morning. But it depends a lot on how many families we have participating. Right now we're kind of small. There's been a lot of people who've dropped out, so we usually just have 1 volunteer. But when we were a bigger group, we had more like 2 or 3 volunteers for every shift. So there's 2 shifts every day. We have a morning shift and an afternoon shift. Right now we're just biking in the afternoon, and also in the winter we don't usually do the morning because of the cold, but it kind of fluctuates depending on what people want. So what do? We have a couple bus stops where the kids will wait, and a volunteer will be there waiting for them. All the kids will gather at the bus stop. They will all walk to school together, stopping at each of the bus stops. If we have enough volunteers, we have one at the front and one in the back, and we take them to school. When we get to school, we mark each one off as they leave and go into the classroom. And then we kind of do the whole thing in reverse on the way home. We have, you can see what the checkoff sheet has looked like before. We have a checkoff sheet. We mark off each child as they arrive. We keep them in a separate part of the elementary school that we call the shark tank, where they kind of wait, where they're not in the way. And then once everyone has arrived, then we all walk home together. We either drop them off at the bus stop and they walk home by themselves, or a parent meets them there, or if they're all along the route, they just walk into their home. Previously, we had biked to school 1 day a week. This entailed parent volunteers biking or on scooters, and we would have them before and after the line of kids on bikes. As has been talked about previously, biking with a lot of kids can be interesting, so we did have some bike safety training where we'd have them practice starting and stopping and how much space to keep between the kids. Right now, we have a small group and everyone just wants to bike. So we bike every day as long as the weather is not too rainy, and we have a small group, and so we have one parent volunteer who bikes with them. So what are the responsibilities for parents in the group? Well, it's basically like carpooling, except you're walking. We walk 2 shifts a week. It usually takes about 30 minutes to wait for the kids, to walk them there and then get them into school and then come back home. So it's about an hour a week. However, the other 8 shifts a week, you don't have to take your kids or pick them up from school. So it should save you a lot of time. The parents in the neighborhood who do drive, which is unfortunately a lot of them, are going to spend at least that much time on the days that they drive because the lines are really slow. So it's about the same amount of time whether they walk or whether they drive. Parents need to make sure they communicate with the coordinator, so me, about any schedule changes so I know which kids to watch for. And they also need to tell me every month what their availability is, just so that I can make up a calendar of when everyone will be walking. And then if it's canceled due to weather, they'll have to make alternate arrangements for their child. So the coordinator, that's me. They asked, what are my responsibilities? So I sat down and thought about what do I actually do. So at the beginning of the year, there is quite a bit of work. I said maybe 20 to 30 hours. You have to recruit all the families. That's not the part I'm best at. I need to spend some more time on that for next year. But we get them all together. We have a beginning meeting before school starts at the school. They fill out all their paperwork. We give them a training session, tell them about safety, what to do if there's an emergency, give them a bright yellow vest to wear so that everyone knows who they are. They sign up for text messages that I send for information and weather cancellations. They need to make sure. And so we do all that, and I get it all set up. I coordinate with school just so the teachers know what the walking school bus is and how it operates, where the kids go. We usually have a bike safety day every year where, again, we go over the stopping and starting and how far to have between everyone. And then we have a binder that we have all ready to go that has all the contact information in case of an emergency, as well as the checkoff sheet, and that goes with whoever's walking for the day. So every month I come up with a calendar like you can see on the right side of the screen, and it just says who's going to be walking for the morning and the afternoon shift. This is probably the not part fun of the job because there's always a little bit of drama whenever you have people involved, but we work it out, we get all the shifts scheduled, and then every day I just need to make sure that the binder's ready to go. If there's been any schedule changes for any of the children, I've marked them and like get the binder out. I usually leave it by my mailbox because I'm on the route and they just pick it up as they're going by. I need to check the weather every day, morning and afternoon, so that we can cancel about an hour before the shift starts and then fill in as needed for last-minute cancellations. We also have some events. We usually get a lot of help from the Active Routes to School coordinator. We do National Walk to School Day. We just did Bike to School Day. We had like 3 TV stations there, and so that was really exciting. We have a neighborhood pool, so we usually have an end-of-the-year party. And we haven't been doing it this year, but we usually have a walking school bus council that meets a few times a year to coordinate issues and needs that we have. Usually we've had, as you can see, it's quite a bit of work, so we've usually had a few different people kind of coordinate all of this. Right now, I'm the one who's coordinating everything. The previous one was the original founder. Overall, this is really highlighted when you look at the description of our school and anything that the school or the county puts out. This is like the highlight of our school, the walking school bus. We're on the news every year. The students usually like it. As they get older, they tend to not like the restraints so much and would rather ride or bike on their own. But again, I'm happy about that. I'm happy if they're walking or biking. Either way, we're happy. Parents like the idea of it, but when it comes to commitment, we tend to have a big drop-off over the year. They would rather drive because it's easy, although, as I said, it really takes the same amount of time. Students seem to have a lot more energy. I think it's really beneficial for their independence. Getting to know the community better, getting to know the neighborhood better and their neighbors. The school can really benefit from reduced traffic. We have like 300 houses in our neighborhood with tons of kids. If everyone participated, we would have a large drop in traffic at our school. Our community overall, except for our neighborhood, is very car-oriented. We have some greenways that are used somewhat, but otherwise there's just not really anywhere you can walk. And children aren't given nowadays a lot of independence, so this lets them have an appropriate amount of independence. As I said, we've been struggling a little bit lately. Our core group has aged out, and so it's been a challenge getting people to participate. So we're kind of in that challenging part, and so I've had a lot of inspiration listening to the previous presentations about some ways we can get some more incentives and get more people wanting to participate. Some issues we've had, there are a few parents who are kind of the classic helicopter parents who think their children are too fragile to walk. Hoping they'll grow out of that one. Again, older children don't always want to participate, but I say as long as they're being active, I'm happy. Working parents can sometimes be a challenge with the morning shift. They usually can get back to their house by 8, but if you have to be at work at 8, that's difficult. So that is one that we have a hard time with. People who have napping kids sometimes don't want to nap, but again, you have to pick up your kids somehow. A lot of parents just don't want to commit. Some parents don't like to walk. Some families have switched to private or charter schools, and some families just walk on their own. And as you know, there's always drama that goes along with it. So there's all the typical kind of challenges to any sort of neighborhood, local group you're going to have. But we've had a great time, and so I hope that inspires some people, and that's what I've got.
Thank you so much, Amanda. I know a lot of communities are interested in starting walking school bus programs, and a lot of our coordinators are working with schools and parents to do that. So it's really helpful to see how your program's organized and sort of your lessons learned. I think, so now we have about 11 minutes for questions. I'm going to kick things over to Nancy to help us facilitate that.
Yeah, hey, Colleen, can you hear me?
I'm muted.
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So first off, I want to say thank you again to each of our 3 speakers. I feel particularly fortunate to have each of you because you bring such a diversity of perspectives, and we represent both kind of the western side and the eastern side of the state, which I think is great. Anytime we can show examples of what's happening across the state, I think is so helpful. If you have a question, participants, please type it into the question box if you haven't had a chance to do that. And I do have some questions for each of you speakers. And so I thank you in advance for doing your best to answer these really thoughtful questions. And so the first one, I'm going to kind of start from the beginning here. The first question is for Mayor Bond. No, it's
He's not whining, that's me.
Superintendent Murray, your chance is coming. So Mayor Bond, have you observed, and you might want, and it could be that Jackie can help you answer this too, whether there has been an increase in students walking on other days of the week?
I can't say that I have observed it because walking to school is involved around 7:15 to 7:30 in the morning, and I'm usually not quite in the office at that time, but I don't, so I can't say that I've seen an increase, no.
Well, also because you have that particular meeting point that is used that one day a week, and so I would imagine it's not about looking out your window and seeing if students are walking so much. Jackie, did you have a thought on that week? So just so everybody else knows, we have Jackie, Active Routes to School Coordinator in Region 1 on the phone too.
Just to know that it's an organized one-day designated day, so the parents know that there will be teachers and people there to walk with their students on that day. But now we are having conversations of increasing the days this year, so that might be a possibility. And it was great to add the middle school last year.
Okay, awesome. So you're feeling like you're seeing enough interest and energy that it would be worth adding another day. So that certainly tells us something, doesn't it?
Correct. And I will add, I did want to add that with the support of the town council, that we have in the last couple of years built and extended some more sidewalks around downtown Hayesville for this walkability. So, you know, we're doing what we can to encourage it for everybody, young and old.
Right, which is amazing and such an asset, I think, to really obviously the entire community. Superintendent Murray, this next question is for you. Do you happen to know who, you were talking about bikes and a bike trailer, and so we have a participant curious to know who owns and maintains the bikes and the trailer in Jackson County.
We have a marvelous relationship with our county, and keep in mind, we live in some really, everybody thinks Asheville's the mountains. We're the real mountains. My daughter actually, when we rode into Jackson County, said, "These mountains are in 3D, Daddy," and she grew up in Asheville. So keep in mind, well, I don't have one scrape blade. With 9 schools, we don't scrape our roads. Our county does all that for us. They maintain. We have an awesome grounds crew that does all the grounds, and yeah, they've got the trailer. They were all there in force, rolled it in there, helped me put the pedals on the bicycle that morning. I mean, they're everywhere we want them to be. It's a wonderful collaboration in the community.
Awesome. Amanda, this question is for you. What is your and I appreciate the level of detail you got with in terms of some of the logistics, because those are the kinds of questions that communities have when they're thinking about starting walking school bus programs, for sure. And you were able to lay out, here's exactly how we do some of these things. So this question is about how you handle kind of last minute cancellations in the afternoon. If you have to cancel the walking school bus at the last minute because of weather, for example, how is that communicated to the parents? And do the parents make it to pick up their kids okay, or how is that handled?
Yeah, so we use a service called Rained Out that I know our county uses for all the athletic teams. So I can send a text and they'll get it immediately, and I don't have to keep track of the text list. Everyone just signs up for it. And so I just look at the weather. Our kids get out of school around 3:20, 2:20. And so around 1:30, I start looking at the weather and see over the next hour what the chance of rain is. I look at a couple forecasts and I look at the radar. And so I send it out around 1:30. And so that usually gives the parents enough time to get themselves over there. Most of the parents are at home, or they have like a grandparent or someone who's picking up the kids. And so all those people are on the list as well. So there's never been any issue with someone picking up the kids. When we've had a larger group, we've actually had carpools set up so that if it rained out, they would switch to a carpool list. It's kind of tricky to do with the younger kids and car seats and stuff, so we're not doing it right now, but we have done it in the past.
Yeah, yeah, great. Mayor Bond, another question for you. You are so inspiring, and we really wish there were more mayors in North Carolina and around the country that had your commitment to active living and to children. Do you have advice for other people who would love to have their mayor as engaged and bought in as you are?
Well, you know, every mayor is different in their personality and the amount of responsibilities they've had, but shoot, the very first thing is just to try and go and talk to them. And it's really hard to turn down involvement with your school systems, and particularly with the elementary kids. It is such an exciting thing to do. They energize you, they make you feel good, you know, so go try it. Go invite your mayor to come out to just one event like this, and I think they'll get hooked.
Yeah, yeah. So giving them a chance to really get out there and be with the students and see what it's like to have a great walking event. Yeah, okay, nice,
exactly.
Thank you.
And, you know, I was tickled to see all of the involvement of Dr. Murray here. And I want to say, you know, you've listened to his self-deprecating humor here, that he does not look that old. He does not look that fat. He's putting you on, okay? He's in good shape.
Thank you. You're very kind. You are a true champion. I will tell you that.
I love it. I love the collegiality there. Amanda, question for you. You know, you had some lovely reflections and some realities about what students and parents say about participation in the walking school bus program. And I just wondered if you would tell us, for you personally, what is it that you find rewarding?
Well, I love walking. I walked to school as a kid. We specifically moved to this neighborhood so that my kids would walk. It's the only school that you can really walk to in the district. And so I'm the one who, I'll cancel it, and then me and my kids will still walk in the rain. So I love participating in things that are getting other kids to walk. I'm really good at the logistics. I'm not as great at the gung-ho kind of encouraging people to do it. So I want to work more on that because I love walking, and I think it's great for the kids, and it's really great for our neighborhood to get to know so many people, both for the adults and for the kids. Nowadays, we're really in a world where it's hard to get to know our neighbors and the people we're around, and this is a great way for us to get to know people, even if there is a little bit of drama. I think it benefits our life overall.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think that's the perfect note to kind of conclude our webinar on. This has been a little bit of a marathon, hearing and learning from each of you, and then a little bit of questions at the end. And I guess the piece that that I've heard in unique ways from each of you really is about the passion and the pride that you have in your communities, and about wanting to be part of making your community better and giving people, you know, a sense of place. I think Superintendent Murray, you might have put it that way, and I just thought that was lovely. And so yeah, I want to say thank you to each of you. And Colleen, any closing comments?
No, just echo that. Thank you all for joining us, and special thank you to our speakers. We have recorded this webinar, so we'll post it online and share the link with all of you. So thank you again.
Colleen, this is Harry. Can I throw in one last thing? It's a re-emphasis of the idea that whether it is the mayor or the superintendent or even your DOT, we're all humans, and we keep forgetting that. You know, we see them in institutions, but we're humans, and more than likely they have kids too. So I can't say enough for our DOT division engineer. He's got a whole division to look out for, but you know, Brian Birch has been willing to come out and look and help and talk and advise, and he's been a tremendous support. But the same thing of mayors and superintendents too. Don't be bashful. You know, people, go visit them, talk to them.
I love
Thank
that. Yes.
It's a wonderful reminder.
For sure. Yeah. Okay, on that note, I think this concludes our webinar, and thank you so much to our speakers and for our participants who took the time to listen.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.